Okay, getting ready to put the cylinders and heads on. Just gonna do a final cleaning on the cylinders. I've already cleaned them out. Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Some people use alcohol. Some people use brake cleaner. Some people use CRC. Whatever you like. Basically clean it until your towel comes out clean every time. You'll be able to feel in there when it's clean, when you stop feeling all that dirt and grit. You'll notice the difference. It'll feel clean to you, then you keep cleaning it, and then like, whoa. Feels a lot cleaner than before. Super clean. Okay. All right, so wrist pin retainer clip. There you go. So you got the groove in the bore, wrist pin bore. There's a notch there, a little relief cut there, and another one there. I'm going to take my retainer clip and cross over that relief cut. Like that. Okay, so I'm in there. I'm just gonna pop it in. Just gonna verify that I'm all the way in there. Just so you know, there's no damn way you're gonna spin that in the groove like you normally would with snap rings. Usually you take a snap ring once you get it in and you check the groove. You spin the, see if you could turn the snap ring. On these retainer clips, they're a bear. Even the spiral, the little spiral spring lock, the spiral locks. Just make sure it's seated. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you should be able to see that. So, if you look, the relationship of the retainer clip to its groove, it's about 50-50. So you should basically see about 50% of the retainer clip. The other half is inside the groove. Anyway, always a pain in the butt. All right, so what I've done, put the piston in the cylinder. Anyway, just getting ready to put the wrist pin in to the connecting rod and the piston. Like that. Cover up that bore. So I got to put the keeper in. Oil, lube up the skirt. Okay, so I'm going to put the wrist pin keeper in, and then we'll drop the cylinder down. All right, we're going to do the other side. Okay, piston's in the cylinder. Next is we're going to repeat the process that we did on the front. We'll get this cylinder and piston over that rod. Put the wrist pin in. Retainer clip, wrist pin retainer clip in. Cylinder down. We'll put the heads on. Line them up. We'll use the intake to line everything up. And then torque it down. So something I didn't show on video was on that rear cylinder. In the video prior to this one, when I did the tear down on the rear cylinder, once you raise the cylinder up, when you're tearing down, you have to pull one of those cylinder studs out. One of the 4 cylinder studs you got to remove so you can get that cylinder out. Because it's all blocked off, you know, your cylinder's blocked off by the frame. So when I put that cylinder, that rear cylinder back on, I placed it over the 3 cylinder studs, and then you use red Loctite on that 4th stud, and you put that stud in its home spot, and I torqued down 5 foot-pounds, and then proceeded to drop the cylinders down. I didn't show that on video. Completely forgot. Okay. All right, well, so we're going to do the same thing. Valve seals, valve springs, all that good stuff to the other head. And then we'll, I'm going to do that off camera. I'll do the other head off camera, then we'll get back to assembly. Something to show. Might be too bright. Whenever I touch up, do touch up work, places that I can't mask. See, that's masked with blue tape. Difficult places to mask, I just shove aluminum foil in, like that there. See? That there. Or like lifter blocks. Touch those up. Packed aluminum foil in there, completely molds to it and just keeps all the paint out. Keeps the paint out of places you don't want it. Okay, so put the cylinders on, put the heads on, put the manifold on, got it snug. We're just finger tight on the head bolts. Now we're going to torque down on the head bolts. 9 pounds, 14 pounds, 22 pounds, 35, and then 42. We'll start on the left side of the bike. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mirror image of that for the front head is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, I put this side together, forgot to hit record, so pretty much it's the same thing. You didn't miss nothing. Ain't nothing but sliding stuff on and bolting stuff up. So even though I have adjustable push rods, I know I probably keep saying it, I'm just doing this reassembly as if I have stock push rods. And there's no All right, so my top dead center in the front. I was on overlap. That's why I had to move it around. Sharp flat side of the washers go down. Rounded side of the washer always goes up. There is a top to bottom to almost every washer. Okay, gonna finish up buttoning up this lower rocker box. We're gonna do the quarter 20s. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So crisscross pattern is good. I go like this. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then over here, I do the exact opposite. I go 1, mirror image, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm gonna got all the grade 8 hardware prepped. And I'm gonna bolt that up and torque it down off camera. Okay. So the torque is like 120 on the 7/16 bolt heads, and around 100 on these quarter 20 Allens. But you just kind of got to do it with it by feel, because you won't be able to get a torque wrench in here. Pretty much wrist tight, and it just creep up on everything, little turns at a time. Obviously, if the motor wasn't mounted, if we weren't doing it in the frame, then we can get a torque wrench on everything. But so that like 120 inch-pounds is 10 foot-pounds. If you were to take a torque wrench and torque to 10 foot-pounds, you would see it's like roughly wrist tight. Yeah, I remember you're using grade 8 into a aluminum heads, so too much torque, you'll just pull the threads. Okay, so for the rear side, how I do it, Harley says crisscross pattern. I'm kind of OCD in certain ways, and so I'm going to mirror image of what I did here. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the back, and 5. Okay. So I wanted to mention before this next section of the video, I had my bike jacked up and put it in high gear and rotated the motor. And just cycled it, rotated by hand all the way around to make sure I didn't hear any valves crashing, any clunking, knock, any contact. You'll know if something's not right, because I went with a different cam, and at that point, before you put the rocker box covers on, you can see your rockers going, your push rods working. Make sure your valve spring clearances are right; they're not crashing on the lower rocker box. Just checking clearances, and at that point, that's when I make sure there's everything is sound and put together right. Like I said, I don't have any valves crashing each other or anything like that. And also, I didn't specify when you're putting your gaskets on your rocker boxes, don't forget that little square gasket that goes in the center. A lot of people forget that. But yeah, just take your time at it. Okay, thanks for watching. All right, we're going to set our first gasket down. Pretty self-explanatory. Okay. All right, we're going to replace this umbrella valve. That's garbage. This one's all nice and soft, and that one was all hard and not very supple, I guess you could say. Just going to go around the back side and on the right side, make sure my gasket doing anything funny. Okay. Some people use grease in the grooves for the gasket grooves to hold them down. If you need to, it's a good idea. If you don't need to, that's a good thing. Chapstick works too. Cherry flavored. So I'm just getting my profiles on this side lined up to my liking. So here's where you probably can see a low profile wrench. Helps out a lot. Okay. All right, so we got this gasket on. It's pretty much one way to get this middle cover on, and that's through the left side of the bike. Like that. On the last video, you'll notice that's the way I pulled it out. That's how that's done. All right, now for the top cover, same thing. Left side of the bike. Just like that. Okay, something I probably didn't discuss, why I put the intake manifold on when I had the head bolts just snug, just touched down. I use the intake manifold to pull the heads into place, into position. It just makes for a good seal, no vacuum leaks. Some people will use that backer plate to line up the heads. I use the exhaust manifold. Anyway. Something I like to do. You can see the bubble on this level. It's touching the line. I'm right on the breather hole on the head. I go to my intake manifold and I'll match that up on both heads. It's the same. You could even go here. Some people like to go to the nose cone. Okay, so at this point in the build, I'm assuming that you already, like, I didn't show tearing my tanks down, taking the carburetor off, the dash, all of that stuff. I just did it and showed you where I was at. Because if you're going to do a rebuild, I'm assuming that you already know or can figure out how to do that stuff. If not, you probably shouldn't be doing a top-end rebuild. So at any rate, I got all that stuff put back on without video footage of it. Okay, and so here's the next clip. All right, so we got the tanks on, lower dash put on, speedometer, all of that. Replaced all the tank grommets. They were beat up. Air cleaner. Got all my lines hooked up. Got my throttle the way I want it. So when we put it back together, we did the I pulled my adjustable push rods out as they were adjusted. I left them there because we did this build as if it was a stock tear down and rebuild. Okay, so I put the adjustable push rods in there as I had them adjusted, put them back in their spots. Shortest to longest, once again, goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's rear intake, front intake, rear exhaust, front exhaust. If you get your push rods mixed up, that's typically the order. And then I scribed a line on my timing for my timing, and I put it back where I scribed. So I didn't change any of that. We're just going to try and start the bike up. Once again, I jacked my bike up and cycled the motor over and over through, make sure I didn't hear any pinging. Make sure my valves, since I switched my cam, make sure the valves aren't crashing each other on the overlap, or at any point of the cycle for that matter. So yeah, we're going to give it put the exhaust pipes on, obviously. So we're going to do a trial startup. I put gas in the gas tank. We'll see what happens. 2, 3, okay, recording.
Is the choke out and the fuel on?
my battery was really low. I have it on the trickle charger. Still a little rough, need to do a little bit of tuning, but other than that, I'm happy. Got to tune that carburetor up a little bit to hold idle. But that was just tearing it apart, putting everything back together as is, as marked. No adjustments. I can't say you'll get that lucky. But like I said, yeah, so we'll tune up the carburetor, get the idle right, get everything right, and we'll be on the road. Thanks for watching. Trying to give you a view of port matching. In one of my videos, I showed how I ported the manifold, intake manifold, and then I bolted it up to the heads, scribed lines on the heads, of course after the manifold was ported, right? So that's trying to give you a good view of port matching. There you go. There's the light. It's a little bit. There you go, a little tool I made. It's just a link. That's a piece of metal. It's a link from an escalator chain. I just drilled 2 clearance holes, one there for the 832s. Did a 3/8 tap. You do is you this bolts up to the cam cover, and then this 3/8 runs down and pushes up against the end of the cam, which will then pull your cam cover out. So I'm not going to show I'm not going to video replacing my cam and all that stuff and lifter blocks, because I already did a video on that. But if you want one of these tools, I got a few more links. I'll make you one. Just email me, and I'll send you one. All right. Thank you.